What made an entire law firm stop their meeting when they heard who inherited the practice? I was a paralegal at Hartley & Associates for 6 years. Basically did all the grunt work while the actual lawyers took credit and collected huge paychecks. The firm had been around for like 40 years, started by this guy named Robert Hartley. He was 73 when I started working there. Still came in every day wearing the same brown suit and carrying his leather briefcase. Most of the partners treated him like a mascot at that point. They'd pat him on the shoulder and talk to him like he was a child. Robert didn't care. He'd shuffle to his office, work on his cases, and leave at 5 sharp every single day. He always said hello to me in the break room, asked about my weekend, remembered my birthday, small stuff that nobody else bothered with. The partners were all fighting over who'd take over the firm when Robert eventually retired. Mark wanted it because he brought in the most money. David thought he deserved it because he'd been there longest. Sandra kept dropping hints about her Harvard law degree like that made her special. They had this whole unspoken war going on, stealing each other's clients, talking trash in the conference room when they thought nobody was listening. I just kept my head down and did my work. Robert called me into his office one afternoon in March, said he needed help organizing some old case files from the 80s. We spent 3 hours going through dusty boxes, and he kept telling me stories about his cases, how he helped this single mom keep her kids, how he got a veteran his benefits after the VA denied him twice. Real cases that actually mattered, not the corporate nonsense we mostly handled now. Before I left, Robert looked at me and said something I didn't understand at the time. You actually care about the work, don't you? Most people here just care about the money. I shrugged and said I liked helping people figure out their legal problems. He smiled and nodded like I'd just answered some important question correctly. 2 weeks later, Robert had a heart attack at his desk, died before the ambulance even arrived. The whole firm pretended to be sad, but I could see Mark and David and Sandra all eyeing each other, wondering who'd get the keys to the kingdom. Robert's will reading was scheduled for the following Monday. Every partner showed up in their best suits, ready to hear their name called. I was only there because I'd been asked to take notes for the meeting minutes. Robert's lawyer, this woman named Patricia from a different firm, stood at the head of the conference table with the will. She looked around the room at all these sharks in expensive suits, practically drooling. Then she started reading. Robert left some money to charity, some personal items to his sister, the usual stuff. Then Patricia got to the part about the firm. Everyone leaned forward. The room went completely silent. Patricia cleared her throat and read, "I hereby leave Hartley & Associates, including all assets, client lists, and property, to Daniel Cooper." That's me. My name. Every single head in that conference room turned to stare at me sitting in the corner with my notepad. Mark's face went bright red. David looked like he'd been slapped. Sandra actually stood up and said, "That can't be right." Patricia kept reading. Robert had written this whole paragraph about how I was the only person in the firm who still cared about justice instead of billable hours. How I'd spent 6 years doing the real work while everyone else played politics. How he'd been watching me and knew I'd run the firm the way he originally intended. Mark started yelling about getting lawyers involved. Said there was no way Robert was in his right mind, that I must have manipulated him somehow. Patricia just smiled and pulled out another document. A psychiatric evaluation from 2 months before Robert died, proving he was completely mentally sound when he made the will. She also had security footage of me and Robert going through those case files, proving our relationship was professional and appropriate. Robert had planned everything. The whole firm basically imploded that day. Mark and David and Sandra all quit within a week, took some clients with them, and started their own firm down the street. Fine by me. I hired new lawyers who actually cared about helping people instead of just making money. Brought back the kind of cases Robert used to love: family law, veterans' rights, disability claims. Within a year, we were doing better than ever. Not because we made the most money, but because we built a reputation for actually giving a damn about our clients. I kept Robert's name on the door. Hartley & Associates. Sometimes the people who deserve success are the ones nobody's paying attention to.